Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Destiny gameplay video. My name is Adani, and today we're going to discuss a pretty controversial topic among Destiny players: sunsetting. So first, let's get into what exactly sunsetting is. And sunsetting is the cap or lifespan put on a weapon or armor piece. And basically, as of come September 22nd, we will have a large group of weapons that will just fall off and not be able to be infused anymore. Basically, it'll have its cap will be the current cap, which is 1060. And a lot of people are not happy about this. A lot of people have spent a lot of time grinding weapons, trying to get the perfect god roll. Have a lot of god rolls, and have spent a lot of time getting them, and also put a lot of kills on them. And they like being able to kind of show off that kill count. While I can understand and I can sympathize with those people, I actually think that sunsetting is actually very good for the game and the population. A little less than a year ago, the game went free to play. You come in and you brand new player. They had a lot of grinding to do to get a lot of these weapons. Such as the Recluse or the Revoker or the Mountaintop. All of these were pretty extreme grinds. So in the last year, if you came in on the free, you were actually at a pretty significant disadvantage. Now, that's not necessarily to say that there shouldn't be stuff to obviously, grind for. It's just a situation where you are already set way behind if you were coming into it late. So, with that said, if you put a year timetable on your weapons, which is what Bungie wants to do, they put you'd have a weapon, a legendary weapon for a year, and then it would open up to make the next thing, and then you'd have that for a year, this will not include exotics. All exotics, at least for now, will move forward with no timetable for infusion. Really, the only thing that's affecting is activities that require light level enabled, because the weapons aren't going away. So if you've obtained these weapons, you can still use these weapons. You just can't power up them any more than they already are. So in most activities, Gambit, normal strikes, and normal crucible, including survival, light level is irrelevant. It doesn't. Everything is normalized, so you can still use these weapons in the competitive game modes. The only game modes that it will be significant in are raids, pinnacle activities, Iron Banner, and trials. So there's not a ton, of activities already that you can't use these in anyway. But with that said, there is some merit to the fact that you grinded these weapons, you should be able to use them. I, on the other hand, am a dissenting party in that opinion. I feel like there should be a more distinct power grind, and in my eyes, the distinct power grind comes from there having caps on weapons. Because if you don't have caps on weapons, then there's no benefit to grind new weapons if they're not as good as the old ones. So, if they keep making new weapons and they're still not as good as the pinnacles, then why would anyone bother to even play the game? They would just use the pinnacles they already have, or the Mindbender's Ambition, or the Fellwinter's Lie. And they won't actually play the game, and they'll do their one activities that they do, and they won't worry about grinding up anymore. than they need to, and they won't bother to try new weapons because they'll watch a YouTuber tell them this weapon is not as good as the Summoner or the Gnawing Hunger, and they'll write it off. Now, it is a natural course for there to be a power grind in games that are massive multiplayer online. Destiny's power grind is not always about just the power. It's about the gear and getting the right gear and getting the right rolls. Well, it should be about the power, and the power does matter. And right now, your items don't. Like you can get this autumn that I have here. It's one of the weapons that is being sunset, but this weapon has been available for 2 years now. So I mean, I'm still using it. Granted, I've only been playing for a little over about 13 months, but I've used this weapon a lot, and I feel like that's causing a difference in what people can actually use. I should be using the new weapons, but because I still feel so comfortable with this weapon, I'm using it instead of trying out these newer weapons, and so I feel like there's definitely a good benefit to having sunsetting, because it's going to allow people to really get a taste of what Destiny, to what Bungie wants to make each season. And I believe that when you are spending all this resources to make weapons, for someone just to say, well, this isn't as good as the Recluse, or this isn't as good as the Summoner, or this isn't as good as the Gnawing Hunger, why waste the resources to make these new weapons if some YouTuber is going to say it's no good anyway? So, in my eyes, making the game more in line with most MMOs, because in WoW, the power grind is doing raids, and each raid you have several difficulties, you have different raids, but in the same thing you get the same weapons, same armor. They're just higher item level that give you more power. Why is it that we are so against this same mentality? It's not like the heroic version of a bow has any additional perks. It's just more stats. And the idea that we can't also justify doing that, doesn't make any sense to me, because it does open up more in line for the power grind. It does allow for more flexibility in the weapons. It does allow not having to constantly having to retweak weapons, and being able to make the game smaller. The fact that the game is as big as it is right now is causing a lot of problems as it is. They add one thing, it breaks something. It adds something else, and then they gotta fix it, and then they gotta fix it, and then they gotta fix it. Making the game smaller, however they possibly can, is a good thing. And if it means that they're gonna dwindle down weapons to not have to worry about them, their significant impact in newer activities, then that's a good thing. And that opens up again a lot of other opportunity for other weapons to really shine where they're not. So instead of using instead of using an Autumn or the Ether Doctor, now I'll have an opportunity to use the Forward Path or the Fool's Remedy, and 2 new Iron Banner weapons. That will not sunset. So I'm a firm believer in that you should be rewarded for your grind, but I'm also a believer in the sense that there's no reason why you can't continue to grind after you have the best stuff. So if you're, like I said, in WoW you have your raid, you have your LFG, and that drops 400, like 400 item level stuff. And then you have your normal version, which drops 500 item level, and you have your heroic, which drops even more. So in this world, in this situation, and then after that, you'll get the next raid. The next raid would also have a higher level item stat. So you're just leaving old gear behind. It's just people are looking at it in the sense of power is not the same as stats, and if you look at it in the MMO's point of view, it's the same, and it's Destiny's way of determining stats is power. So if your items are capped at a certain height of power, then that's where your grind really comes from. So I think this will give a lot of flexibility to the developers, give a lot of flexibility to new builds, and actually people, not being forced to use meta, because I mean, right now, if you're not using certain weapons, you are at a distinct disadvantage. And if they if some of those weapons are not being, are not in the pinnacle place, like that you can't use as pinnacles, then you're not at such a disadvantage to the people that were playing for several 2 or 3 years before you even got into the game. Because remember, this game is still free to play, and we're still there's still new people coming in all the time. And the best, especially with the new consoles coming out, PS5 and Xbox One X, there's pretty significant. It's possible there can be pretty significant fluctuation to consoles, and I believe that it starts with the sunsetting as being one of the significantly leveling the playing field for everybody. Now, my opinion isn't necessarily shared. A lot of people disagree. I truly believe that sunsetting will absolutely be a good thing. There may be some growing pains, but I definitely believe that we will benefit greatly from the from detaching ourselves from these weapons and kind of getting some fresh stuff, especially with the new DLC come September 22nd. But that's going to be it for me, guys. Tell me what y'all think. Do you think sunsetting is a good thing, or do you think it's going to be a terrible thing and cause us to lose people? I think it favors the bottom 90%, and I think the top 10% is where the true disadvantage is seen. But let me know in the comments section. Please hit that follow button, subscribe button, and also if you want to follow me on, I stream on Facebook at Donnie's Gamer Space on Facebook. So please follow me there if you want to take a look and watch me when I stream. I do appreciate all the support. This is Adani signing out. Y'all have an amazing 4th of July.